nobody watches my YouTube. Like, I don't do anything on YouTube. So let's just see. Let's just see what happens afterwards. All right. Well,
but shouldn't I be able? Because I'm on your page right now. Oh wait, there it is.
Do you find it?
I see you.
I feel like
yeah.
I feel like I like posted like a cat video like 19 years ago, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I see you and Heather, and then I see cats on your channel, and I see the live. So basically we're live on your YouTube channel and the DTNS.
See, I'm looking at my YouTube channel as well, but like, where is it?
It is, you have to reload it, and then I saw an option for live.
Oh, okay.
Do you see it now?
No.
Okay.
No, I see 3 videos that I took 100 years ago, and then
I'm gonna put it on.
Yeah, if you do
live. Yeah, no, I see live.
Yeah. I was gonna say you can just copy and paste it into the private chat.
No. Now I'm just looking at other people's live stuff. It's like, where's my live stuff? Why can't I see that?
I see us on your channel right now. There's 3 people watching on your channel. Yeah.
Well, how about that? That's it. Oh, I see. I see. No, it's a picture of me. That's why I was thrown off. See, I hadn't thought this through very much.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
All right. So, and then I can see on StreamYard that we are live on 3 different channels. The YouTube, DTNS, Twitch, and then yours. That's awesome. I always wondered how that worked, and I'm glad now that
this
we've
could
tried
be
it.
kind of fun. I mean, Amos is probably like, girls, I've been doing this for years now on StreamYard. But here we are.
But like, what were the other options?
Like being
Do you remember,
the
Sarah?
resident expert and not being listened to.
Well, it's not that we didn't listen to you. We just never tried.
I know.
What were the other options? Do you remember? Is it Twitch and was it in
it was
Twitter,
YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, X,
was
Facebook,
was
Instagram,
or
I think.
TikTok on there? Oh, Instagram. Okay.
I don't think TikTok was. And then like a couple that I wasn't familiar with.
Okay. Well,
all
there you
right.
go.
So,
yay.
Well, listen. Here we all are.
Boogie.
Let's boogie. I'm into it. I am
Me too.
Ready.
Amos, I think my volume is louder. According to Sarah, I was able to turn it up. Do you agree?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Oh, good. Yay.
I'm worried about the ducking. Let me see here.
I turned off the echo cancellation.
And how did you get your volume to turn up?
Well, there's a little knob on the blue icicle, and I just turned it a certain way. It must have gotten bumped.
That's why I was asking earlier if you were direct to USB, and you said yes. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't think there was anything in between.
There was a little thing here, a little knob on the blue icicle. Yeah.
All right. There you go.
It would have saved me all the edit time last week because I was like, why is my volume so low? But whatever.
Also, if that happens again, just let me know because I have tricks.
You do? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
That's a good tip and trick. All right.
Go.
So I do. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and do this. All right. I'll go ahead and count myself in. If we're all ready. In 3, 2. Apple Vision Show, episode 58. I am Sarah Lane, and I'm here with Eileen Rivera, who has been my co-host for a year and a half now. Hi, Eileen.
58 episodes, Sarah.
I know. I know.
What have we
people
learned?
Are like, wait, but like 52 weeks in a year, it's like, well, things happen. But
Exactly.
But yeah, we are cruising towards 100, which it's crazy.
We'll get there, but one episode at a time, right? And we got plenty to talk about today.
Yes. One episode at a time. That's good. This is the first day of the rest of your Apple life, everybody.
Exactly. Welcome.
Yeah, so we decided to we've been thinking about in each episode going forward, kind of like we're going to talk about a variety of things, but what's our like big meaty topic? What do we want to kind of do more of a deep dive about? And today we're going to talk about Apple Music, good, bad, I was about to say ugly. I don't really think it is, but competitors and just kind of, what works and what doesn't. But, off the top of the show, we always try to talk about the latest Apple news. And what we are definitely getting a lot of news about is stuff pre-WWDC. That is the Worldwide Developers Conference. Apple does it every year. It happens in June. Big deal for developers. And it also is, almost without fail, where we find out what is going on with the new, iOS, iPadOS. Sometimes iPad gets its own event, but it's kind of a look into what we're all going to expect when we get new iPhones later in the year. A little bit different these days because the iPhone used to be like the iPhone, and then it was like, well, you might have like the iPhone or like the larger iPhone. Now it's like iPhone SE, regular iPhone, iPhone Pro, and then Pro Max. So the iPhone announcements have gotten a little convoluted to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
I
feel
would agree
about
with
this.
that.
I mean, when it comes to WWDC, I feel like it's an exciting event. I am not a developer. Never have been, at least not for iOS. So, I want to know from the people who really care about this and get fired up about what Apple is offering them as developers, what we can expect to see, because a lot of these developers get access to the new iOS iPhone launch. So they basically like crank through the summer, and then sometimes we get really, really cool stuff at launch, or sometimes later.
Yeah, I feel like WWDC, the big thing is going to be the OS, right? Like, what will you see on the new phone later in the fall? So I'm looking forward to it because we've talked about it before, but there's supposed to be some like major change in the OS, all of the
iOS
devices.
19.
Everything is going to be
the whole thing
changed
is
up.
it's supposed to be. Almost like, I don't know. Listen, rumors are rumors, but so much of what has been, well, I don't even want to call it a leak at this point, but rumored at this point is, Apple really going hard on visuals. It's not just sort of like, oh, you look at your home screen, you got a bunch of apps, they're all square, they all look the same. It's more of a very, very personalized and sort of fun experience. I don't know exactly who that market's for. I think it's for young people, and I think it's for certain regional markets, globally. But I'm here for it. Like, if there's an owl, holding a MacBook and being cute, I'm into it. That's fine. Great.
So you're talking, so you're mentioning the owl with the MacBook, and the developer app, I guess, has updated, and there are a bunch of new little stickers that you could add to messages if you so choose. And so they gave 11 new stickers, one of which is an owl holding a MacBook, which is very cute. They're kind of they're like little retro, but we got a dinosaur on a surfboard. These are little cute little things that you could just kind of add to your text messages or whatever. But it gives me a retro feel.
Very
and
much so.
I don't know if this is supposed to represent what, if there's any kind of connection with what we'll see, in June. But I was thinking that June was going to be a little bit more futuristic. So I feel like these are just fun stickers. and they're not necessarily like Easter eggs to be like, this is what your iOS is going to look like.
Right. Right.
'Cause
No, it's
like,
true.
That's backtracking, but they are really cute, and I want to add some of these because the owl with the MacBook is very, very cute. And there's also a little dog that looks like Seven. I just have to change the color, change it from
I haven't
black.
seen the dog that looks like Seven.
Yeah.
There is a flying pig with wings. Yeah, the dinosaur on a surfboard, gotta love it. Everybody likes an octopus on a keyboard. This sort of stuff is, I think it's, I don't know. There were some years back where people started using emoji pretty regularly, and I was like, this is so stupid. And I just wasn't ready. I was like, I don't know. This like feels like like maybe more of like a an Asian market type thing that people are trying out, and we all communicate differently depending on where we are. And gradually, we have all, well, not all of us. You may be listening to this being like, I hate emoji, but a lot of people now that is just what you do. I mean, I cannot tell
That's
you
how you
many
communicate.
times. Yeah. How many times, like, if you, Eileen, were to, send me a text and be like, let's meet at the ramen place in 30, and I give you a thumbs up. I don't say anything. I just send the thumbs up, as a reply to your message. Like, that could have been somehow construed as like, well, that's a little flippant of Sarah, back in the day. But now you're like, great, she gets it. We're meeting in 30. There's so many ways where, and I also, how you can make custom Apple emoji.
Genmojis.
Genmoji, thank you.
Yeah.
And the other day, I was going grocery shopping, and I asked a friend who I was, we were going to go to their house eventually and make dinner. I was like, do you want anything? And they were like, what about some popsicles? And I was like, oh gosh. I mean, okay, let me go to the frozen food section. Like I wasn't even in there, and instead of being like, okay, I will, but get popsicles. What kind do you like? I just sent like a Genmoji of popsicle, which I created on the spot inside of Ralph's. And it was like so cute. And afterwards they were like, that's such a cute, like, how did you get that? And I'm like, well, I made it. I'll just send it to you and then you can have it too.
And you can make it your own sticker, and you can add it to anything later. I just think they're fun. Sometimes I use emojis to punctuate. So if I look at the text, sometimes it's just kind of blah. It looks like the tone isn't very interesting. But if you add the like smiley face or like smiley face with hearts, it just gives a little bit of a bump of like, yay, right? When I don't have to say it, I don't have to like express anything else. I just put the little punctuation with an emoji, and we're out the door, So
I want to bring in the fact that the emoji have been held up in court as legally binding for agreements and things like that. In one case in particular, a Canadian, between two Canadians, there's a supplier and a buyer, and then the one sent a contract to the other one, and the one that received the contract acknowledged it with a thumbs up, but didn't actually sign the contract, and the courts allowed that to be held up as him agreeing to the contract.
Oh, boy.
Like a handshake, basically.
Yeah, basically like I sent you the contract, you gave me a thumbs up, and because of previous correspondence between the two of them, the judge realized that in context, that's basically how he was agreeing to things previously. So the thumbs up was held as legally binding and ended up being a $82,000 Canadian payment to make to fulfill the contract.
Well, let this be a lesson to all of us. Use your emoji wisely, especially when you're agreeing to something like buying a house.
Yeah.
We're
Be
laying
careful.
concrete.
We don't necessarily need your signature. We just need a thumbs up emoji.
Seriously. So, all right. So, we are coming up on a new Mac OS. This is probably going to be announced at WWDC. But whether it comes at that point, which it will, but even if it didn't later. So I thought it would be fun to sort of like do a little walk back in time to various versions of Mac OS. Before it was even Mac OS, remember? It was OS 10 for so long. And we used to do, all the, the big cats. You got leopard, you got lion, you've got, I don't think we ever had a puma. What am I thinking? Not spotted. Help me out here, Eileen.
I'm literally doing all Mac OS names right now.
Snow leopard.
Snow leopard, yes. So there was leopard, then there was snow leopard afterwards, which I thought was very interesting. I'm a big cat person and a cat person in general, but when the company shifted to I think back in 2014, it started to be like, all right, we're gonna do Yosemite, right? A beautiful national park in California. Then we had Sierra. Then we had Mojave. Then we had Monterey. Then we had, I think it was Mojave again, but like a different version. Ventura, Sonoma, which I was like, yay, Sonoma, because I'm from Sonoma County. And then Sequoia, which we're chilling with right now. I don't know where Big Sur was. Big Sur seemed to be. I see.
There's also Catalina and Monterey.
Monterey's in there. Yeah, Catalina. I had forgotten about Catalina. Big Sur was actually kind of a big one. Anyway, okay, so I'm forgetting a few, but Sequoia, one of my favorite trees in the whole world. If you've never seen a Sequoia tree, oh my gosh, they're just majestic. They're huge. They're, kind of on the California side of the Sierra Nevada, which is a mountain range. But anyway, okay, yeah. So Apple's like, cool, California stuff. So what is it going to be next?
I know, right? People are, by the way, Puma was an internal code name.
That's why I remember Puma.
So I wanted to make sure you got a shout out for that because you definitely tapped
I'm not
into it.
totally crazy.
No, you're not. Now,
And it was Sierra and High Sierra.
High Sierra.
Right. There was Sierra and High Sierra.
So some people are saying that Tiburon is a potential name because marketing images have been using Tiburon of late, but that's not, that's just a guess. That's nothing that is, for sure. But there's, we could do, I guess, was Pacific never an option? And
I think Pacific is very general. I mean, you could
too general, yeah.
You could say like, it's like Mac OS Pacific, but it's like what part of the Pacific?
Yeah,
it's a really, really long state.
So
north to south.
Exactly. So some of these names, let's see. These are names that Apple has already filed to protect. Apparently,
yeah.
California,
yeah.
Condor, Diablo, which is a game, so I don't know, but hey,
Mount
OS
Diablo in the East Bay.
Yeah. Farallon
Islands. Yep.
Grizzly.
Guess grizzly bear, probably.
Mammoth, which I'm like,
Mammoth Lake.
We haven't used
that.
that.
Outside LA.
Miramar, which is in San Diego. Pacific, which I mentioned already. Yeah. Red tail.
Guess that's a bird.
Yep. Redwood.
That's a tree.
Rincon.
That is a surf spot, but maybe it's something else also.
Shasta.
Mountain.
Skyline.
Area between, I don't really know what they mean by skyline. I mean,
right. I mean, I know skyline up in the Bay Area. There's
right. Yeah, it's like Pacifica, San Francisco, skyline.
And then
Tiburon.
So
I don't know, man. I mean,
it's got to be one of those.
Going through all of that, maybe they could pull out something like, Mac OS Fresno.
Mac OS Bakersfield. Mac OS.
And also, like, to anyone who lives in the Central Valley of California, we're making jokes about, actually like pretty cool communities.
Yes.
And like mid-sized cities.
Let's throw Southern California. Right. Santa Ana.
Santa Ana. Yeah. You got that win, girl. Yeah.
We did not like Santa Ana this year, though.
Not in January.
No,
we sure did not.
No, we did not. Chino, Riverside.
Irvine.
Irvine.
macOS Irvine.
Don't
Or
worry.
how about
we'll
macOS Reading?
Reading. Okay. Okay.
Shout out to Lancaster.
macOS Lancaster.
Hey,
Yay. Palmdale.
Yeah, Palmdale.
let's go.
Just-
Palmdale.
Just macOS AV, Antelope Valley. Just macOS AV.
macOS West Covina. Let's do it. Isn't that funny how it's like it could be anything. It could literally be anything.
macOS El Cajon. Let's go.
Yeah, Echo Park.
Echo Park.
Or you could be like macOS Ontario and people are like, what? Canada? It's like, no. That's a different city in California. They have
is a
their
different
own
city.
airport.
Yep. Anyway, there's plenty to choose from, but there are, like we mentioned, some, areas of California that have already been protected, quote unquote, by Apple. So I don't know. What's your guess, Sarah? The leading
gonna
is
guess Tiburon.
You are? Okay.
I am, and listen, Tiburon. For anybody who's not familiar, if you live in the Bay Area, it's technically North Bay, but barely across the Golden Gate Bridge, and then you kind of have to cross a little bit. It's more or less an island, very wealthy,
Very wealthy,
very beautiful. I I could never live there. Just too rich for my blood, but boy is it pretty. It's really
pretty.
is. Like from Tiburon, you can like look out onto the bay, including Alcatraz, which may become a prison again. Who even knows? So but yeah, I would guess Tiburon. I
Okay.
would.
All right.
But
Yeah.
I've been wrong before. It could be Marin. It could be Inverness. Now I'm getting deep into Marin. So anyway. So yes, if you have thoughts about what the new macOS might be, or maybe you have inside information, send it our way, feedback@applevisionshow.com. All right, so moving on to this, the story, we talked about it on DTNS Live on Thursday's show earlier today as we're recording. I was so excited about this. Next Gen CarPlay,
really?
branded CarPlay Ultra, rolling out today. I was like, give it to me, put it in my veins. Well, turns out this isn't going to affect my 2019 Volvo, which is not an old car. And is very, CarPlay friendly. But no, this only applies to people who are, for now, driving some versions of an Aston Martin.
Right.
Now-
like James Bond is driving that. But
Right.
that's about it, right?
Right.
That's the only
This is-
person I know owns
This
one.
is a sporty and expensive vehicle. I don't know anybody who's ever owned an Aston Martin.
Same.
We're not royals like that. But the idea is that Apple said that Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, all working on also adding the CarPlay Ultra platform to their cars. No timeline there. But if you're sort of like, well, what does this mean? How does it change my car? So, for example, when I get in my car, I turn it on, my dash, my entire dash, speedometer, various other things, and then all of my the entertainment dash in the middle, it's all software. So it could be anything. But when I plug in CarPlay, as it stands right now, it's like that it will control my center dash, which is very cool. But my Volvo stuff still is Volvo. Like Apple CarPlay is not handling my speedometer, not telling me to get more oil, that all. It's only really just sort of like, do you want to listen to a podcast? Do you want to open Waze? Et cetera, et cetera. So I am looking forward to the option, if it comes, to be able to at least have this option. Because, speaking of options, right now, it's like I can run Waze, or I can just be like, hey, Volvo, just, do your own, give me your own way to, get to the grocery store across town. Yeah. And it's horrible. It's horrible. There are a lot of things my car does well. I love that car. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But it's like the nav is bad. The native nav. So it's like, yeah, like the more I can just, make it Apple. But of course, car manufacturers have, historically been like, well, then why are we even making this car?
Right.
Like there's nothing personal about it. It's just like an Apple device. I don't care. I know people may have feelings about this one way or another. I'm like, I don't care. I am in a large metal vehicle, and I'm going from point A to point B, and I want CarPlay to be just everywhere if possible. With like if you have some bells and whistles in your car anyway, it's like, well, great. I mean, they're not going away. You can still find that in your car's options somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. Eileen, what do you think?
I watched the video that was shared by Mark Gurman of the Aston Martin, and I was like, wow, that is sleek. Of course, he was like, only for $200,000.
Yeah, I mean, you're not partying with that much money, right?
Exactly. So I think anything that is working seamlessly with your device and your world, if you are in the Apple ecosystem, or whatever, if you're in the Android ecosystem, as long as it works seamlessly and easily and gets you a better experience in your car, that's what matters. That's what matters to me. And this looks really nice. I'm always pro, tech innovation. So what I'm looking at looks very, it's so updated. Like you said, there's so many, my cars, it feels like an old dinosaur because I don't have, visual displays like this, but it works. It's all that matters. It works and it keeps me safe. But if I could have stuff like this where I'm not putting my phone on a magnet to keep it upright and using my phone as the actual nav and using the actual car nav, which is actually Apple nav, that would be amazing, right? And I've done that on, rental cars and stuff like that. It works really, really well. This one.
So you don't use CarPlay in your car right now?
No, I don't have that. I have an Audi 2011. It's an old one, so I'd have to get out.
That old.
I'd have to take out, or I'd have to put an additional CarPlay device in there in order for me to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have that as an option, so I just use my little phone and I attach to Bluetooth, and sometimes Bluetooth works and sometimes it doesn't. But this is, this seems a lot more safer. This seems a lot more integrated. And I don't know. Like I said, if it works better, please give it to me. It looks really, really nice.
I know. It's like, okay, Aston Martin people, all 14 of you who can enjoy this, let us know how it goes. And then Apple, please roll this out to other manufacturers. I have to assume that this is all a very complicated, not so much complicated for rolling out CarPlay more widely, but just, the handshake agreements between, a car manufacturer. In my case, it's Volvo, where I was like, oh, Volvo's maybe next. No, it's Hyundai, Kia, Genesis. I love Genesis cars, by the way, but that's a whole different conversation. But
also keep in mind that Kia, Hyundai, and Genesis are 3 tiers of the same company's cars.
Well, there you go.
So,
Yeah, that
so
makes
it's Hyundai is the value brand, Kia is their consumer model, and then Genesis is their luxury model. It's all the same company, essentially.
I didn't know that. I always
it's
wondered, because I see
Ford,
Genesis
Mercury,
cars on the, around LA here and there. Not that often, but I see them around. And I'm like, every time I'm like, that's a nice looking car. So, it's like, look, the Toyota's Lexus.
Toyota, Lexus, Ford, Lincoln, Mercury.
Right.
Well, one thing that you could do, which I think is nice, is, you can customize, just like you can customize your phone, you can customize sort of the themes and the colors on your dashboard here when you have, that's really nice. Like if you like, blue tones versus the sort of, I don't know what I have, like a yellow goldish tone on mine. You can change it and, can be more appealing to your eye. Makes you calmer when you drive, to have something that is more pleasant.
Or you just get to change it up for fun.
Yeah, for fun, it's just your taste. You have different wallpapers and things like that. And that may seem so small, but it could really help you in the way you see things, especially what if you're colorblind, or what if you have an aversion to red? You don't want that. You want to see something. Anyway, I'm just saying, I like that there is customization options and that you're not just stuck with one color.
Well, and also let's say, I don't know, Eileen, you're like, let's go to the ramen shop, I'll drive. And I'm like, cool. And I get in, I'm a passenger, and I'm like, oh, this looks really good. Like, this is cool. It's like a style thing.
It is.
I think that, a lot of people think of cars as like, well, a car is, you have a range of like expensive cars, and then just cars that get you where you need to go type thing. Mm-hmm. You don't really sit in someone's car and go like, wow, you've really customized this thing. I mean, sure, you do sometimes, but for the most part, it's like, you get what you get. You sit in the car, hopefully, you have enough gas, all good. But I wonder how much, especially because in certain areas of the world, more than others, but Los Angeles, maybe the most, people really hang out in their cars and drive a lot.
Yeah.
I actually don't really do that because I work from home, but it's like, the idea of someone getting into my car and being like, wow, cool. This looks, I like what you did here. This sounds so silly, but it's like, we thought that about lots of things some years ago. Exactly. And now it's like, yeah, you want your home screen to look a certain way. You make your own custom emojis. It's like, it's very personal.
And Apple has always prided themselves on design and premium looks. So this it just goes hand in hand with the experience that you would have as an Apple user. So it shouldn't be a surprise, and it should just be welcomed, I guess. And, I bet most people will. Eventually, these will be in all cars, or, in a particular OS, whichever one you choose, just like you choose your phone, will be in your car. And, it's just... It's just starting, guys. It's gonna be here. We're all gonna have cars.
I do wonder about. It's like, all right, how far away are we from the point where it's like you buy the car, and the car is like more or less stripped of the computer, and then you add the OS that works for you, and the car is already designed to let you either maybe it's Android Auto. Maybe, is it, CarPlay? Is it, I don't know, a variety of other things that may come down the pike? I do see that happening, but I also think maybe some manufacturers will be like, yeah, let's try this out, but for the most part, still our stuff.
I know, still our stuff is just not the same.
And then see what sells better.
Yeah, exactly. The still our stuff. I don't know. You guys out there, tell us, if you have a car, let's call it car OS, that's built in. Do you like it? Are you happy with it? Is it okay? Or would you prefer to have an OS like iPhone, Apple or Android?
Well, and some of it gets more sort of like, all right, so how does this work exactly? So if it comes to, anything involving music, radio, stuff like that, and speedometer. But so for example, my car, which is again, it's almost over 6 years old at this point, so it's not a new car, but it's newish. It has its own little bells and whistles because I sprung for the what did they call it? They called it the tech package.
Okay. Yeah.
So it does it is not self-driving, but it's park assist and things like that, and that's all built into its own OS. This is if CarPlay could take that over, I would be interested to see how that would work. I don't really know that that's possible. That would have to be something that, like, I don't know, we just like flush out of the car and start all over from scratch. Who even knows? And also, my car is not eligible for any of this at this point. So, but I'm just wondering, I wonder, at what point is, like Eileen, you said your car is like 2011, people go like, no, not worth it. It's just too old, or even my car, it's like, no, we can't do that. It has to be this, all this cool stuff is, going forward.
Yeah. Let's just say going forward. It has to be all the good stuff. I don't know. That's my preference, but if people, there's always classic cars. People love classic cars, and it's more about the car, not about the tech in the car. So I think there's always going to be those enthusiasts as well.
Yeah. Real quick, if you are wondering about what your next iPhone might be and you're looking for a discount, the iPhone 16 lineup is now being sold at discounts of over $350, which is not insignificant, on some e-commerce platforms. Reuters reported this, such as JD.com, Alibaba's Tmall marketplace. Significantly marking down Apple's newest, at this point, devices ahead of China's mid-year 618 shopping festival. That starts June 1st, runs through June 18th. So for a lot of people, this is a big time to buy stuff. And I wonder how much this is, let's just give a discount to folks who are going to buy this anyway, and also kind of tariff stuff.
Yeah,
we're in a funny period here.
Yeah, I think people are, guessing and making assumptions and being and also being proactive, just in case, right? There's always the just in case. So, I mean, when I'm reading here that shipments of the iPhone has declined reportedly 9% year over year in the first quarter. So, there's certainly
time to sell.
Little bit of concern. Yeah, time to do it. Time to do it. And time for you guys, if $350 off what we've paid for that's great. Come on. That's great.
Yeah. It is a good discount. All right, so we promised to talk about Apple Music, and we're going to do that in just a second after we take a short break. All right, Eileen, how often do you listen to stuff on Apple Music in general?
So, it is on my page 2 of my phone, believe it or not. Mostly because I use Spotify. But Spotify I've been using for a very long time, and I feel like it knows me. However, there are some really cool additions to, and there are things that I prefer on Apple Music. Like, I actually like the radio on Apple Music. I like me some Zane Lowe interviews. I was just listening to a Japanese pop radio station today, which I thought was great. I don't know the host, but he was playing some really good stuff. So I think the shows that they have on Apple are really good. And I often listen to artists that are guest DJing and playing their own, sort of playlists, or just talking, having interviews. So I really like the radio tab a lot of Apple Music. And although there was a moment there where when I was listening to the Japanese pop, the very first song I was like, ooh, I like this, and I'm expecting I can just hit add, but apparently the song was not available in my country. I was like, wait, what? So little disappointing there. Yeah, because you would think it'd be seamless. You hear something on the radio, on their radio, and I see it just like you would see any song, and I go click, nope, can't add it. So that was a little bummer today. So, I guess there's some regional stuff there. They'll give it to you in the radio station, but you're not necessarily going to be able to get the song itself, which kind of sucks. And I have been using Apple Music a little bit more, just so that I can it used to be a place where I would just listen to old 80s music over and over and over again.
I
But
remember
now,
you saying that. Yeah.
and now I'm like, okay, let me infuse some of the stuff that I'm actually listening to. I also hook up my Peloton to Apple Music. So every time I hear a song on Peloton that I don't know or I want to add, I just hit the heart when I'm on the Peloton, and it dumps it into this Peloton playlist. So I have this long list of like workout songs or really cool songs that I'm like, oh wow, which is nice, which is only on Apple Music. You can attach Spotify, but I chose Apple Music for that one. But yeah, I'm trying to use it a lot more, and some of these cool new features, like the other day, and it's part of our, one of our stories, but I noticed the sound therapy, and I'm like, what is that? So there's just like a collection of sounds to help you either, focus, relax, and sleep.
Or even sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started listening to one of them. And one of them, like for instance, is the How Do You Sleep Sam Smith we're gonna show it here playlist, and it's parts 1 to 21. And I like, what do you mean parts 1 to 21? So when you get to the end of part 1, it just moves on. It's like the same rhythm and beat, but now it's on part 2, and there's 21 parts to Sam Smith's How You Sleep, and all of them are like that. So I don't understand why they break it up that much, but that's
I think
that's
it's
how
probably,
they do it.
I think the point is probably like we all have to like chill and focus and sleep. We all have to do that. if we're not doing those 3 things, we're having a bad day.
Right.
But I used to at a former office that I used to go to, which I haven't gone to an office regularly for some time now, but we just were all kind of corralled into the same area, which was fine. Mm-hmm. But sometimes during the day, because I've always kind of done like live news, I just had to be like, do not talk to me. I need 1 hour, maybe 2.
Focus.
Like
yeah.
no one talk to me, and I can't hear you because I need to focus. And I would put on white noise, like, that kind of thing, which at first you're like, is this good? But it really was. It felt like it was silent after I got used to it after a while. So I think I know what Apple is doing here. It's like, you might just need just stuff that just brings your brain down to, a level where you can either do something or you can just chill or you can sleep. Because some people don't want total silence when they sleep. They want, a little, ocean waves or, some sort of sine, cosine, tangent version of noise.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's, a bunch of other ways. Like there are, on your control panel here, you can actually add like a sleep button. I added a sleep button, a focus button, and is this relax? I can't remember what this one is. And then it'll just automatically start playing. It'll just start randomly playing a track on Apple Music. And there you go, just by hitting a button. You don't even have to go into Apple Music.
Do you feel very relaxed as a result?
I mean, I don't know that I've spent too much time using it, but it's nice that the option is there. And whenever I hear the relaxing stuff, I feel like I should be at a spa or something getting a massage. And then I go, why am I not there? Why am I not getting a massage and just listening to this on my phone? But hey, it's helpful to have. I feel like Apple's giving you as many possibilities as easy that can be for you to be able to relax by adding this, playlist or this section in Apple Music, by adding these buttons in the control center that leads to Apple Music. So I think, there is a definite strong, I've seen so many more people talk about the app's Headspace and Calm these days. So why doesn't Apple just go ahead and integrate things like that into their system, which is what they're doing.
It feels like a move into that category. I'm on desktop right now, so it's a little different than how I use Apple Music on my phone. But just going through stuff, and I know anybody who uses a different version, mostly Spotify, is going to be like, they do that too. But I thought I would just go kind of through like what does my home screen look like on Apple Music?
Okay.
So I got top picks. This is, heavy rotation. This is stuff that we know you already like. So, that'll be, that's like honestly, like half the time I'm in my car, I'm like, yeah, just play stuff I like.
Yeah.
Then we've got a new release from Arcade Fire. Didn't even realize that was happening until today. Although they were on SNL over the weekend, so that makes sense now. Because they're promoting the new album. So I'm like, cool, awesome. I'll save that. Then I've got Recently Played, which is all over the place. You guys don't need to know about that. And then we've got Workout, which is like hip hop essentials. Weekend worthy. I don't even know what that is. Something that Apple has branded itself. Then we go into the 2000s. Not really sure why that's one of my genres, but everything in here, I'm like, TV on the radio, the Walkman, Interpol, like, yeah, this is my jam. Then going down to like stations for you. My own station is stuff that I have hearted. So it's like, I already know what it's going to play because it's like specific songs that I'm like, play this. That's my playlist. In fact, it was so funny. A friend was in my car the other day and, I'm just, we're talking and, I've got stuff playing in the background and he was like, what is this? And I was like, it's just Apple Music. And he's like, yeah, but like, what is the playlist? It seems very esoteric. And I was like, it's just things that I have hearted on Apple Music. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm like, yeah, I basically just built my own radio station of like 200 songs that even if I never hear another song, I like these songs. It's good,
Yeah.
And I'm really never in the car long enough to hear all 200. So it still always feels kind of fresh. Then, all right, so we got stations for you. Then we go down into what we were talking about. So we've got like Find Your Mood, Feel Good, Heartbreak. Who would even ever choose that? But Energy, Love, and then we get into Focus and Relax. And, so there's that. It goes on and on. I mean, listen, I know that Apple Music is not for everybody. But boy, do they curate some songs. They really do. If you want to listen to an album front to back, it's there. I mean, it's not there 100% of the time, but it's almost always there. If you want to, be like, I like this artist, and I would just like things that include the artist, but also are just the genre in general, including other artists that I may or may know. You can do that. You have so many options when it comes to listening to music.
Yeah, I was just looking at the, I was saying 80s. Well, apparently I've shifted to the 70s because I have a whole shelf of 70s essentials, not 80s. Right. So first of all, it's y'all know I listen to K-pop. So K-pop is first, and then right underneath 70s essentials. Like, could they be more polar opposite?
What's like the like number one? If you choose 70s essentials, like what's the number one on that playlist?
70s hits. So the number one on 70s hits is Staying Alive, Saturday Night Fever.
Well, I mean,
which
popular song.
I've listened.
Popular song.
I have listened. I usually listen to other songs on that soundtrack, but they want me to listen to Staying Alive
at like the skating rink, just being like.
Staying Alive would not be my choice. It would be Night Fever. That would be my number one. But they want me to listen to Staying Alive, and then Al Green, Let's Stay Together, and then Immigrant Song, Led Zeppelin, and then Electric Light Orchestra, Living Thing, and Elton John, Benny and the Jets. So again, a lot of those songs are great. They may not be my favorite. That I like those artists, and if I were to choose. Maybe Al Green, that would be my favorite song. But the others, I probably would have picked a different song. But
how many times, though? Yeah. So, like, how many times and I feel like this goes for lots of consumption of media, right? Whether it's a song, a podcast, a TV show, a movie, where you're kind of like, I don't know about that. And then you start it and you're like, no, I like it.
Yes.
And music, definitely, I do that and that's part of the reason that sometimes I'm like, Apple, just like, I don't know, just see what you want to give me. And sometimes I'm like, I don't like the song, or like I've heard the song before recently or whatever. But so many times where it's like, I'm like, I don't want to listen to Staying Alive, but do I?
Maybe you do.
Maybe
Apple
I do.
Music's like, maybe you should, maybe give it another chance. Or
right.
Just
and then the
one
next
time.
song you're like, okay, I get the vibe. All right. This is kind of fun. And I don't have to do all the choice myself.
No, I actually like, that's why I listen to the radio. I just give me something, and sometimes when I just pick a song and then it just keeps going to autoplay, and I'm really interested to see what they're choosing, in that same genre or close to that they think I might like. Sometimes I would say 50% of the time I'm still skipping. Like, I don't know about that one, but then immediately after I'm like, oh yeah, that one. So it's getting better at knowing, my interests. But I do think that they do a really good job curating, and I just need to give this more love. But it's hard when I've already established such a strong connection to another platform. But it's okay. Like I feel like I'm raising another platform on the side. It's like my second platform child, right? Like, okay, I don't want to like ignore it, so I'm going to give it some love and give it a little bit more time. Now, what about like spatial audio and all the Apple lossless and stuff like that? I will tell you, I have softened a little bit on spatial audio only when I'm wearing.
You were kind of not into it at first.
Not into it, and I still don't like it in the living room because we have a surround, we have like a 5-point speaker thing. And when you play Apple Music and you get the surround, I don't like the spatial. Like it just sounds like left side for like a beat or so. I don't like that. But when I'm wearing my AirPod Max here, that's a different story. I feel like I have just isolated myself and I'm in a chamber, and it's okay for it to be a little bouncy in my ear, but I don't love it. But I also don't despise it like I did before. So I guess you just have to kind of, at least for me, had to keep listening, to some of those songs. And some of them I can't get rid of. It's just there. I try. I'm like, oh God, can I turn it off? Then I end up not doing it. And I'm like, okay, it's not so bad. You have like the
spatial audio version of the album, and then you like choose that without knowing, and you're like, oh, spatial audio.
Exactly.
See, I like it, but I also find it to be sometimes disconcerting. It depends on, what I'm listening to, but there have been times where it's like, like, I don't know, I'm walking my dog and I whip my head around, for whatever reason, and I'm like, whoa, song, wow, that's like, I'm not in a recording studio right now. Like, I think maybe we just do regular old stereo.
Yes, I'm fine with, like it's, I guess I don't want to just blame, producers and musicians, but maybe we're just not there yet to like, some songs are fine. They hit well, but not all songs. And what I don't like is when they take older songs and they try to morph it into spatial audio.
Sure.
Like taking the older, stems and trying to and I'm like, if you're producing it in that way, I think that's when it works. And that would be like moving forward. But back catalog, like, I don't know. Do we need to do that to these songs? Like, it just, the experience of the song is different.
It's an audiophile thing, right?
I
it's
guess
like,
so, yeah.
If you're, if it was 1965 and you're listening to, the Beatles on vinyl, and it's like you got the right and the left version of the song, and if you can isolate one, very different than the right. That's that used to feel like kind of like, ooh, they're like experimenting, but kind of gimmicky.
Yeah.
And then, I think that people kind of got away from that in general. And now it's sort of like, let's play around with, the things that we can do when, if you pop in a couple AirPods and go on a walk and you're like, wow, it really does feel different depending on, how you're walking and what you're looking at. It can be, I'm with you. Sometimes I'm like, it's not working for me. I just want the song.
Yeah.
But other times I'm like, oh, this is really cool. It does feel like it alive in a way. that
Oh,
maybe a
okay.
song wouldn't feel otherwise.
I like that description, that it feels alive, because to me, that's, I mean, it's an experiment to me. And if it allows you to feel the music in a different way, then great. Sometimes I just want to hear the beat, without going, whoa, what happened to
Totally.
my left ear? Like, is there
Yeah.
something wrong with my left ear? No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's spatial audio.
when I was, full disclosure, I'm a big Tears for Fears fan.
Okay.
Yeah, and listening to their discography the other day, I'm like, I don't need. They're already a weird band, in a great way, but like strange band. Talk about the '80s, and I don't need that to be spatial audio.
Yeah.
It's like I just want it to sound like what I felt like when I was in third grade.
Exactly. And that the one song that irritated me, why can't I remember the name? It's by DeBarge. And
El DeBarge?
El DeBarge did
Yeah.
I Like It. It's called you guys know the song. Play I Like It by DeBarge. And they have manipulated the song. And I have to go find the other version
Because
to
you
not
like it
hear
better.
Yeah, because it's just stereo or whatever. I don't need the extra emphasis or the like movement of the song. It really bothers me that but every time I do the search for the song, it always serves me that version, and then I have to go find, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I've wasted so much time looking for the
Well,
DeBarge song.
it's probably not unlike. Everybody's different. I mean, Eileen, I know you and Tom go to a lot of live shows.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I don't know. I just don't. But one of my big beefs with going to a live show, like, let's say it's like, I'm going to like Pearl Jam, right? Like back in the day, like loved Pearl Jam, like great. It's like, I want to hear the song on the radio
You don't want
as
to hear
I'm
the live
standing
version.
in the crowd. And
Yeah.
like sometimes it's like, no, we're gonna do something a little more folksy, or like we're gonna change it up, or we're only gonna play half the song and then move into another song. I'm like, no, I want radio version, which is part of. You either have to like embrace live music, or
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah.
So I'm somewhere in between, but probably I'm not anymore. But that does feel like what you're talking about with spatial audio. You're like, no, I want the song that I want.
Yeah. And sometimes though, I will say when you go to concerts, I don't mind. I generally don't usually mind the live version. I kind of like to see how they mix it up. And if they're really good, you'll like it anyway. But sometimes the sound system in the place, or I'm sorry, audio people at the concerts, you've mixed it poorly, and I can't hear the vocals over the freaking drum kit, and I don't like that. That bothers me. It's not the band's fault. It's not the artist's fault. It's the mix in the room.
It's just, you can't help it.
Oh man, I'm like, wait, it just happens, like every once in a while. And
does.
it's not even every song, but every once in a while I'll be like, why is the vocal, I can't hear her. Turn her up, turn her mic on, and I've seen that happen before where
Countless
an artist
times.
comes on stage, right? And then the microphone's not working. You're like, oh, poor person up there, So anyway, that's just live for you. But as it relates to spatial audio, that's where I get a little like bummed when I'm like, wait, I feel like a moment has changed in the song because they need me to hear the right part of the ear instead of it all whole. And I don't know if I like that.
Well, and there have also been times where, I mean, I try to be like very aware when I'm out and about. Like I'm walking, I'm wearing headphones, but like, I'm not, zoned out. I know where traffic is, and somebody wants to rob me. Like, I'm gonna see you coming. That kind of thing. Nobody has ever robbed me, by the way, but just you have your wits about you.
Yes.
And every so often, spatial audio will throw me off a little bit, where I'm like, what was that? Oh, it's the song.
Yeah. Did you lose your AirPod? Did it go away? Like what happened?
Where I'm just like, or like, it almost feels like somebody's like tapping me on the back, where I'm like, where did that come from? It can be, I don't know, a little disconcerting. But at the same time, I think it also could be cool. It just depends on, what you're listening to. Well, listen, speaking of listening, we are so happy that you are listening to us. Some of you are watching us live or may watch us after the fact. And we appreciate you so, so much. Episode 58 of Apple Vision Show. My goodness, how the time goes. Eileen, I am so excited to do the show again with you next week. Do you have any parting words for our audience?
Get down on it. Everybody.
Get down on it.
My
that is a good parting word. Parting phrase.
For my 70s essentials that I listen to, apparently. Get down on it. Yeah.
Hey, man. I remember when, what was it like classic rock?
Oh, yeah.
When back in our day, Eileen, classic rock was the 70s.
Yeah.
Now people say classic rock as the 90s. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh my gosh, that's classic rock now because that's just how, time works.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Vampire Weekend, and I feel like people think they're classic rock now too. Weren't they 2000s?
They were early aughts, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think even earlier than that.
They were 2019. 2008. 2008. There you go. Okay.
I will just, one more classic rock thing, and then I'm done. But speaking of the early aughts, I was talking about, I was trying to remember the song, and I'm like, early aughts band, kind of shoegazer band. My friend was like, throwing out stuff. I'm like, no, it wasn't Interpol. No. Different band. Like, what was their name? Kind of like Grizzly Bear, but not that band. And he was like, oh, I love Grizzly Bear. I'm like, but no, that wasn't the band. It was a different band. Band of Horses.
Oh, Band of Horses. Yeah.
I used to love Band of Horses. And like when I go through, some of that stuff, I'm like, wow, I really had a certain kind of sound that I liked in the, mid to late aughts.
Right.
This is what we will, in a decade from now be like, oh, remember the mid to late aughts?
Yeah.
We all listen to this kind of stuff. So, yeah. So it goes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Apple Vision Show, episode 58 in the can. I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Eileen Rivera.
And we'll see you next time.
I was like trying to think of something musical. And I don't know where. I didn't even see Kool and the Gang anywhere. I just said it. So there you go. Oh. I think it's actually, what was that, 81? Maybe. I don't even think that was the 70s.
I think Kool and the Gang started in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering about the song. Get Down on It.
Yeah.
81.
81. Yeah.
Sometimes it's still 70s disco period, but whatever.
It's like a hybrid of decades.
It's like the transition out, to before you get into like Duran Duran and the
right, like synth.
Yeah. Synth stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Madonna.
Wham. Oh gosh, Madonna. Wham. I used to love Wham. I loved Wham.
I loved Wham.
I
still love Wham.
Oh,
and George
I do too.
Michael. I mean, oh God.
I remember seeing an ad in the newspaper for their concert, and I was too young, and I knew that my parents weren't gonna, let me go. But I was like, oh. Fast forward to when I was in college, I was able to see George Michael in concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I was, I
never saw him in concert.
Me and my girlfriend, because I was up in the Bay Area, and we just took the BART over to Oakland Coliseum. Got to see. We had cheap seats in the top, but we saw him. He was like this. He was this tall, and we heard Father Figure, and it was that Father Figure.
Oh
and,
my gosh!
All that.
Don't
those
even
songs.
Get me started on George Michael. No,
it was great. I was like, I got to see him. I didn't get to see Wham, but I got to see George Michael.
I remember being at like a county fair when I was younger. Like your Ferris wheel and roller coasters, and just very podunk. And everybody was playing like, it was like Wham was like the cool band at the time, you know, and they play it really loud, you know, because they want you to go on their rides. You know, I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I remember my mom being like, I think they're gay. And I was like, well,
It's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like she's like, is that fine? I'm like, I think so. And she was like, cool. All right. We're all fine with this.
Oh man, those times.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I can hear the Wham songs.
The
right
rolling
now in my
80s.
head. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
You
well,
have to go, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do another show.
All right.
Believe it or not. This was good. Thanks for being
you.
with us, Amos.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Sarah.
All right.
Talk to you guys later. Oh, wait, is the recordings all good, Amos? Or we? Oh, we need to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh,
say
we haven't
goodbye.
said goodbye yet.
Bye, everybody.